It says live.
There we go. All
so
right.
Theoretically.
Hopefully it should be live. Hello, people.
Okay. Let me pull it up in case you ask a question.
There we go. Hi, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We had a little Wi-Fi issue, but happy FriYAY. We are pulling it up on our phones so that we can. Yep. There we go. You mean you don't want half your head cut off?
I mean, you know.
We will pull up our phones so we can pull up our Q&A. But hi, I am Kara Alexander.
I'm Kara McCann.
Yes, and we are with Captivate Digital Marketing. So today is all about the Q&A. So we have some questions that were entered in this morning. But if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments below. We are happy to answer your questions. That's what it's all about today. Yeah. Any thoughts?
No, we're here for you.
All right. Well, a little bit about what we do. So I am the content creator and graphic designer.
And I am the website designer. So all things website, including any copywriting that goes into that.
Yeah, so those are kind of what we do. So some of the questions might be overall digital marketing questions, social media, graphic design, or website. So please feel free to ask us anything you would like to know. Casey McCoy says happy FriYAY to everyone today. But yeah, should we start with the first one?
Sure.
All right. Do I need my design files? Yes.
Next question.
Yes.
No, just kidding.
Let me explain why. So gist of it, it's for you. I think it's so important to own your own design files, not only as a graphic designer, but as a web designer.
For sure.
Having all of the stuff, having the capabilities to manipulate, edit, change, add things later on. If she goes, hey, this background is fun and crazy, but I need an all-white version, or I need a colored version that matches this background. It's just easier to have. So a quick tip is if you are looking for a graphic designer, ask that question. Are you going to give me my design files? Not every designer will, not every company will. We believe that it is your company, it is your brand, so you should have your design files.
And I will also add that sometimes someone will just charge you a little bit more so that you can have outright ownership. 100% worth it. As long as they're not charging you an obscene amount, it's totally worth it, because then you can take those assets and you can bring them with you anywhere you go, and they're yours outright to use over and over again.
And to manipulate and change.
Yeah. Yeah, because we can't take a JPEG, just an image that's this big, and make it span your entire website if we don't have the original files. There's just some things that you just can't do to different types of
Yeah, a lot of times
images.
people will come to us to ask to change the color, change the tagline, maybe even change the font. And unfortunately, with those original design files, we cannot do that. So those original design files are the art files that the logo is created in. And so something like that might be AI, which is for Illustrator. Is it ID for InDesign, I believe? And then, some people do it in Photoshop. But it is so important to have those files because they should belong to you.
Yep. Okay, let me get you a website question here. What is one of the most important elements of a website? Well, it is my opinion that your branding is one of the top things that should be brought onto your website. So when I talk about branding, I'm talking about your colors, your fonts, your vibe. Like every brand should have what we call a brand voice. So you might have a brand that's a little bit more minimalist. You like that clean, kind of easy look. Your website should reflect that. If somebody is looking for that kind of minimalist appeal and they get to a website and you've just got crazy busy pops of bold colors everywhere, it's going to feel really incongruent and they're going to get confused. And the last thing you want to do is confuse a potential customer, because customers are very attracted to consistency and dependability and predictability. So if they are seeing one thing on social media or seeing a business card of yours, they're going to go to your website expecting the exact same thing. So your branding, absolutely. And I think important to that is not just on your website that your company really speaks your voice and displays all of that, but that it's consistent across all of your marketing platforms, whether it's digital, print, otherwise. Everything should have that really, really strong brand to it. Again, so that people know what to expect when they come to you. Because as soon as you give them a little bit of pause and go, oh, I thought I was expecting this thing, but they're not showing me that, that could be enough to change that customer's mind, and they'll just go somewhere else where they know that they can depend
Such
on
good
it.
points. That was a good question and very good answer.
Thanks.
It just goes back again to prove how important, branding and the time spent for branding, because branding is more than just a logo. It truly is the style, the feel of your entire brand as a whole. And the largest aspects are obviously the logo. The second, is your website, and then the rest trickles down from there on your marketing. But that's so true. It needs to be consistent across all boards. It'd be crazy if you went from a medical sales place to all of a sudden it looking like Chuck E. Cheese on a website.
Yeah.
Like, that would be very confusing, right? And someone would go, well, now I don't know if I trust this medical sales company because they look like a Chuck E. Cheese. Doesn't make quite sense, does it?
Yeah.
Let's see what our next question is. Do we have any live questions?
We do not. We have a few people viewing though. So, hi Casey and Monica.
Hello, happy Friday. Okay. Okay, so we covered that one. All right. You should know the answer to this one too. How much text can I put, or should I put, on top of an image? So I will give like a graphic design degree opinion as well as for social media, and then Kara can also give one for a website point of view. So anytime you're dealing with, text on an image, especially an actual image versus let's talk about a graphic having information, keep it minimal. Either scenario, you want to keep it minimal, especially if there's an image or a pattern going on in the background. You're going to want to keep that information even more minimal, because otherwise it's confusing. It's makes your eyes go crazy. It's just not necessary. That's what comments are for. That's what description under tags are for. So keeping it minimal, I think, is always the best. What about for websites?
So websites, there's a tiny bit more wiggle room, only in the sense that we use a lot of images as backgrounds. So, even on the Create Captivate site, you'll see images as backgrounds, and a lot of the websites we design, if you have a header, almost every website has some kind of header image, and you're going to have a company name on there. You could maybe even do a subtitle on there. You could do a company slogan on there. So those you have a little bit more wiggle room, but we are very, very intentional about the types of photos that we use as backgrounds in those cases. So I'm not going to pick something that has this really intense pattern and then throw 4 paragraphs on top of it. I'm never going to throw 4 paragraphs on top of it, first of all. But if it's something like that, typically we will break it up maybe with some solid color blocks inside the bigger image. But you do have a little bit more wiggle room. You just have to understand that if it's hard for you to read, it's going to be hard for your audience to read. And as far as websites go, there are actually some good plugins and features that we use to help us know when a site is going to be difficult to read, because it will flat out say,
That's
readability
really cool.
issues. Yeah, it'll give you a little red, yellow, green light as to how readable your site is.
That's very neat.
Yep. Yeah.
So a little behind the scenes on if you redesign your website.
Yeah,
we
little
do
bit
make
of the
sure
magic.
it's legible. We make sure it's got the green go.
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
Yellow red. Those hand gestures there.
Yeah.
Red.
That's totally what red means.
Right?
Like your own version of ASL, right there.
Yeah, I guess so. Red is. No, it's not like it's bad, but it's like.
Yeah. If anyone knows the actual ASL for red, please feel free to share.
Yeah, I would be curious. Okay, how do you convert a website visitor into a customer?
Ooh. Okay, so this can be either a journey or you can have more of a quick conversion. So when I think quick conversion, I think of something called a lead magnet that's actually come up kind of a lot recently, both with prospective clients and on one of our, I think it was on our FriYAY a couple weeks ago, we were talking about lead magnets as well. So lead magnets are anything where if you come onto a website and they're saying, oh, download this handy guide on whatever, we'll send it straight to your email for free. And you enter your email address. Sometimes you enter your first and or last name. That is a lead magnet. So in exchange for their free product, their free information, you are providing your contact information. You are now a lead in that person's repository. So where they're collecting emails, where they're collecting any potential customer information, you've expressed interest in something that company does, so you are now a potential lead. So they're going to be quick conversions like that. So if you have a type of, say you have a real estate company and you want to list like the hot 5 real estate trends for 2021, you could just have some little informational pretty PDF that somebody on your team has created or that you have created by a marketing team or whoever, and you could have that ready. You could have that file uploaded, and a customer comes to your site and they go, well, this is interesting. I think I'd like to find out more about this before I decide whether I'm really ready to buy a home with this team or not. Boom, you give them free information and you get their email address so that you can contact them in the future, and it's not cold anymore. They know you. So there's quick conversions like that. And then the rest is really more of a journey. We actually did talk about the customer journey 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that is just about making sure that people know where they're supposed to go when they get to your site. And this is similar to the idea behind branding, where it's that you want to make sure you're having consistent messaging, but you also want to make sure you're having a clear path. So if somebody gets to your site and they have no idea what they're supposed to do next, gone, completely gone. You have, I think, something like 3 to 5 seconds to capture somebody's interest on a web page.
There's so much over inundating these days, and not only that, people want it easy. Like, if it's confusing, I'm like, why waste my time?
Yeah, because there will be another site that makes it easy, and for whatever reason,
if you get to like an older site and it looks like a government site that like you can't even like see or understand, I'm like, ooh, no.
Yeah.
Do they even exist anymore? Like, are you still active? Are you still a company? Like, I'm not gonna buy something off your website and then have 3 weeks later go, oh, this company quit 5 years ago, because it looked like it quit 5 years ago.
Yeah. So you want to make sure it's very, very clear where people are supposed to go. And literally telling them what they're supposed to be doing. Send us an email for more information. Go to our contact page. Look at our pricing. Give buttons, give easy navigation throughout your site so that people really know what you want them to do, and they can find what they want to do, and they can find what you want them to do next, if that makes sense. If you want any clarification on that, definitely go back and watch that customer journey video, because we went super in depth on that one.
Yeah, think of it as, real world pathfinding, but for your website. So instead of like, how do I get people from point A to point B on a bus route, it's how do I get people to go where I want to go on the website.
That's a good metaphor?
Yeah. Segue? Metaphor? Words. Words,
We do marketing.
We're award winning too.
We are.
So what are QR codes and how do I use them in my marketing? So I get asked this question quite a bit. QR codes, if you're unfamiliar, so if you've been to a restaurant anytime since probably, I don't know, like last May or June, a lot of them have had them replace actual physical menus. So it's where you take the camera part on your phone, you hover around wherever that QR code is, and a little website thing will pop up, and you click on it, and that's the menu. That is a QR code. They're using it to help get you over to their website. You can use them in lots of places in your marketing. So I think a really cool one that I've started using for a couple of our clientele and other people I've recommended to is if you have a lot of information to give to someone, whether it's on a flyer, getting people to your social media or website, if you're working at a farmer's market booth, if you are handing out business cards, some situations like that where you want minimal information, but you want to give people the opportunity to have multiple things or to get to your website, but in an easier capacity than them remembering your 25 syllable, website. If it's not something simplistic and easy to remember, QR codes are great. You just use your phone these days. You don't even have to have an app. So I think they're a really great tool. We actually have the capacity here at Create Craftivate to be able to implement those for you. So we behind the scenes are able to create those. We have an account that we make them for some of our clients, and that's how you get to use them. We then give it to you. You can put it on any of your marketing collateral. If you know from following our social media, you'll know the difference between a JPEG and a PNG, but we can give you both for the QR code. And that way you can use it. You can even print it off, bring it with you. If you're at farmers markets these days, which are all, for the most part, back up, you could put it in the window of your store. And, people, when they see a QR code, are usually like, oh, okay, that means they're either offering something like a lead magnet or it's how to get to their information. It's a great thing to even think about putting into your window. So you can even print them off and have them made into stickers. the possibilities are endless.
Oh, and Casey wants to add, we can customize QR codes and brand them too.
Yes, which is so cool. So actually, I think one of our social media posts coming up is actually a little bit more specifically about this, and I know we will be coming out with a little bit more information later on as well. But we do have the capabilities of adding your logo in the middle. We can even change the colors of them, so we can definitely make them even more branded than just
So
a
fancy.
a little weird squiggly square with multiple little squares in it.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what they look like, Google QR code.
Yeah.
Think of it as kind of like when you go to a store and you have the little barcode scan things. Think of that, but in a square format with a whole bunch of little like random squares.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's just like what you would imagine coding in the sphere of like media to be. I don't know. That's a terrible description, but look at our social media coming up.
That was a beautiful description.
Thank you. You will see what a QR code looks like because I actually have an example, and you'll be able to hold up your phone to the computer or someone else's phone to phone, and you'll be able to see, kind of play around with that and see what that's like. But moving on from the QR codes.
Should we try to do one
Yes.
more? Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do number 8. Okay. Imagine you are going to look for a company and you see that all they have are a Facebook page and an Instagram that may or may not have all their contact information, may or may not, if it's a restaurant, they may or may not have their menu on there. They may or may not have pictures of all of their items. It is extremely difficult to vet a business if they don't have a website. So your website is saying, yes, I am a legitimate company. Yes, I am still in business. Yes, I am trying to help people find me easier. It's saying a lot. It's really, I'm trying to think of the best word. It's making you reputable, really, and making you seem legitimate. That's the word I was thinking of. So it is legitimizing your business. So if you, and I mean, websites don't have to be wildly complicated either. You know, a lot of people think, well, I don't have the time or the money to invest into a website.
But it's the most important thing to invest. Besides your branding, it is the next most important thing to spend your money on. If you're back and forth between a few things, I highly recommend put the money where it should go, which is that, you know, these days it's, you know, people want legitimized business, and, you know, even if it's simplistic to get you through until you can afford a whole website rebrand or redesign, you know, it's so important. Casey actually dives into this a little bit on one of our TikToks that will be coming out next month. So it definitely is so important these days to have it. If you don't have one, there's also reasons, like if you're selling on Facebook and you're a retail business, there's people can hack into your account and can close it out. Well, then what are you going to do? How are you going to sell for those days that you're closed out? It makes it more legitimized, more efficient, and you have more of a paper trail with it than you do if you're selling through Facebook. So there's endless reasons and possibilities as to why a website is just so important these days. But the main number one reason, which is exactly what Casey had said too in the past, was it legitimizes you. It is probably that, you know, that good old fashioned stamp of approval or stamp of, you know, like
realness,
like trademark, like it's like its own trademark in a way.
It really
it's
is.
like that kind of importance. Like it's so important when you get something trademarked. It's that kind of importance. It truly is that stamp of we are a legit business. If you don't have one, it's like, are you trustworthy? Are you real, for number one? Then you got to contact the business bureau in the area and find out if it's real. It's also like, okay, well, who's running this show then if you don't have one?
Yeah.
So
and also, you know, we talked about branding a lot. It's like that's your opportunity to show people who you are, because even if you have a brick and mortar, you know, a standard store that you want people actually coming to and visiting, or an office space or whatever, your first face to the world is that website. It's not your Facebook page. It's not your Instagram. You cannot customize those that much. You can change some images. You can't change layout. You can't, you know, there's only so many ways you can show pictures. Your website is your way to show your brand. So even if you have a really strong brand, if you're not putting that on a website, where are you putting it? You know, especially these days, like we just went through a pandemic. We're still going through a pandemic. You know, online has been absolutely the salvation for a lot of companies that had to kind of close down those forward-facing businesses.
I mean, even aside from that, I mean, a lot of businesses, like if I move away, I mean, so many people are transit these days and they move around. Or even when they visit somewhere, they go home and they're like, well, I really liked shopping there when I was visiting. I'd love to continue. They want to be able to shop from you. You know, I still shop from one of the boutiques from my college town.
Yeah.
And it's been 3 years. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's being able to continue to shop your experience with your brand, even if the person is not able to drive 30 minutes, you know, to an hour every once in a while, or 10 minutes down the road. It's, you know, continuing that experience and gaining, you know, more customers that are long-term.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that answers a good variety of questions.
Yeah.
If you have any more, please drop them in the comments. We are always adding to our social media, in particular our TikTok. So if you're not familiar with TikTok, our account, we do little 30-second videos on little tips. So right now it is all Casey's beautiful face. But probably starting June or July, it'll have a lot more of the Create Captivate team on there. We're going to start videoing everyone's specialties, but we do have a very wide range of answers on that page, down to entrepreneurship, Casey owning 2 very different businesses, some behind the scenes, some fun things like I think soon, probably Saturday. Most Saturdays we post more of our like behind the scenes kind of fun things. Like I think the Saturdays is scheduled to be, you know, what character would Casey love to be from Parks and Rec, which if you know her, you know exactly what character from any TV show she would want to be. So got lots of fun things like that, lots of really good answers, you know, about social media, down to, okay, I've got $500, what should I spend it on, emailing tips, anything under the sun. But if you have any questions, always hit us up. Happy FriYAY. If you're here in Norfolk, enjoy this beautiful weather. It's so pretty outside. So, yeah, thanks for watching.
All right.